Hi guys, welcome to today's session. We're carrying on with this urban sketch that we started last week, and it's going to be a mixture of kind of just generally building up tone here and there in big passages. So you can see I'm just starting to shade in this wall a little bit where I know it's sort of in shadow. So sort of establishing some of the shadows and then some just kind of general bigger tonal shifts. So I sort of know that the light's streaming down from the top left hand side. So generally everything's going to be a bit lighter up there than it is down in the left. So yeah, a few sort of passages like that, and also just starting to sort of lightly sketch in more specific sort of patterns of where the cast shadows coming down from the, say, the fire escape here, where they're falling, kind of softly laying them in. I'm just doing very light passages to begin with, and building tone up more gradually, which affords me more control. So I'm going to lay a little bit of this sort of stuff in, but also start to kind of go a bit heavier in tonally with those sections that I know are going to go very dark. So this doorway, for instance, it's going to be a lot more of a heavy tone. Or the doorway in shadow, not the entire doorway. So I'm not going into too much detail, I'm kind of just messing around with general larger tonal relationships. I don't want to go the absolute darkest in this doorway because there's sort of a bit of reflected light, and there are some details that go even darker than the general tone, so I'm just laying in a sort of general darkish tone there. And the same goes for this other doorway, in the sense that there are some little details here and there. I'm not going to go for them immediately. I just want to kind of lay in the doorway as being kind of a bit generally darker. So at this stage we're just kind of generally working our way towards matching these tones. But we're kind of creeping our way towards it. And approaching it that way reduces the amount we have to rely on the eraser. This window is a little bit different. It's got some kind of lighter sections inside it. So I'm not going to go quite so heavy. It kind of opens up in terms of how light it is, more to the bottom right hand corner, towards the bottom right hand corner. So I'll just lay off the heaviness of those darker tones mostly. A little bit of a detail there on that arch underneath. I'm not going to put the detailing in for the, these door frames. I'll put a little bit in there, but for those door frames in just immediately, go in for that when we kind of pick out specific details. And go a little bit darker with this grey. Now I've got those darker doors in, I'm going to go a bit darker with the shadow as well, but keep it quite fuzzy. What's nice about this shadow is how it's sort of quite soft and hazy. One of the nice things about it. Yeah, so just a little bit of a suggestion of those shadows, but not going heavily into them just yet. I'm also just going to do another little pass of tone over this wall, because it is a sort of dark green. It's a bit kind of locally darker than other parts of the walls here and there. And the same goes for the door frame actually. Yeah, so all that stuff just needs a little bit of tone over it to get it going. Again, this arch, I think probably just, we're going to go a little bit darker with it, but not go kind of mad in terms of detail, but we just want to make it stand out a little bit more from the rest of that wall, which is quite white. The kind of just underneath the inside of the frame can go pretty dark. That's going to be one of those darkest points in the image, definitely. So yeah, something like that's probably sufficient in terms of detail. Maybe, you know, a little bit for this upright portion of the railing. Probably I'm going to leave that bottom section, we'll go back into that later. We want a little bit of shading here, just generally, to start getting that, again, that shadow. So there's a bit of a shadow that's kind of like dropped down below this window frame. And we don't want to put sort of tons of tone down this right hand side, because that's all going to be white. It'll probably end up with a little bit of tone because we're going to try to create a bit of a glow in the window frames as we get up to that section. But for now, yeah, we're just going to leave it a general white colour. Next thing, kind of next prominent thing, is the fire escape, which can definitely be generally pretty dark, and we can lift, you know, we've got the opportunity later that we'll be using to lift highlights out of it, the whole drawing. I'm likely going to find there's going to be a bit of smudging, just my hand's kind of moving over the page. Not too fussed about that. It's sort of, it's alright for that to happen. So again, it's pretty dark and chunky, the sort of girders that run across the fire escape. So this is the last kind of main girder that needs to have a bit of tone laid over it. Once we've done that, we can just kind of move into generally suggesting the windows. Actually, a little bit more maybe on the specific shapes in here. So yeah, I've got sort of generally popping in these general shading for each window frame, and they're not going to be as dark as the ones below because they've not, you know, they're not as much generally in shadow. And particularly these ones a little bit higher up. You know, this one for instance has a bit of reflection, so it's dark midway-ish up. These ones are all pretty totally bright, apart from just a little bit of the inside of the frames, which I'll just kind of suggest a bit. Whereas this one has a little bit more of a tone, kind of reflective tone running over it, and then also just that little bit of the frame too. We've not yet got the sorry, I got distracted by a little section there. Not yet got the tree branch in, which will kind of flow across everything as well. But for now, that's a pretty good point to leave it at. So starting to look at how you can develop tones, and you see it's using a lot of the geometry that we established in the first section. So just kind of working over what we've already got. And starting to just kind of block out and define block out and define those kind of major shapes. And then we're going to start, we can sort of from here, like, this is a pretty good point. We've got all our general value statement in place. And we can go in and kind of pick a specific area. So we'll be doing section by section over the next few videos to complete stuff and kind of lay in all that detail. But you can definitely see how it's getting there and how it's a pretty straightforward, hopefully easy to follow process if you're working either from this reference or from one of your own, or if we're sketching on location. But yeah, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As always, you can subscribe on YouTube to keep up to date with all the new stuff that we're putting up here. And you can also click the link through to the school and see what sorts of paid courses that we offer and qualifications that we offer as well. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.